welcome back. You listen to Bob Mills on Saturday on Talk Radio, powered by the Times. Know your times. Saturday night at the movies can mean one thing only, and that is that the delightful Van Connor is sitting right opposite me. Hello, Van.
Hello, Bob. Pleasure as always, sir.
Lovely. you've rolled your shirt out. It's been very, very cold the last few months, and I've noticed your arms.
It's roasting outside.
You're all tattooed up, I noticed. What is it all? Is that all Chinese stuff you've got?
Mandarin, believe it or not, they are actually film titles, so...
No.
They really are.
No, complete and utter geek.
I know, I have 7 tattoos and 6 of them are from movies, so...
Right, on your right arm, what's that in Mandarin?
Serenity. Serenity, not the Matthew McConaughey and Hathaway
yes,
one.
It is.
No,
it tattooed
is
Matthew McConaughey on your arm.
The 2005 Joss Whedon movie.
Okay, on your left...
Firefly, which is the series that Serenity is based on.
Okay, and I noticed that lovely one on your shoulder, because I do speak a little bit of Mandarin. House sitter. There you go. Well done for that. Right. When's the Oscars? Tomorrow?
Tomorrow, well, actually, technically speaking, Monday morning to us. They start at 1 a.m. on Monday morning, but they're Sunday night officially in the US.
Right. So, go on.
Well, it's to be honest with you, it's the same as it is every year. It's a very predictable spread. We're having this conversation, obviously, 6 days after the BAFTAs, which is always kind of the big indicator of which way it's going to go. Like, I tell friends when they're putting their bets down, make sure you get them down on the Saturday or the Sunday just before the BAFTAs, because the odds will sharpen up. Yeah. And, well, I mean, I gave a bunch of friends of mine my predictions in the pub last Sunday, and I think most of them are going to be winning something at this rate. So
now,
that's
just
a good
to
sign.
go back to the BAFTAs, Joaquin, he is the Marlon Brando for his age, isn't he?
This is the weird thing. Okay, so Joaquin Phoenix has won for Joker at the BAFTAs. He's clearly going to win the Best Actor Oscar.
Yeah.
He clearly is. And, you know what, deservedly so. It's a great performance. However, the strangest thing about this is Joaquin Phoenix is always that good. And it's like, the way we were going off on this, it was almost like everyone's apologising for not seeing You Were Never Really Here. You know, which is odd. Now that's an amazing movie in which Joaquin Phoenix basically plays the Punisher, but in a sort of, you know, a real world kind of a setting. It's violent, it's nasty, it's actually an infinitely darker movie than Joker, and nowhere near as, you know, faux edgelord about it.
But then, of course, so he not only puts in a Brando-esque performance, he then gives the speech as well. He does, you know, I mean, he didn't have the American Indian tribes person.
I was going to say, because that was the famous Brando moment,
That was the famous Brando one, yeah. But he was very, very cutting. I mean, you see, what people find difficult to believe, not to believe, but to understand with the BAFTAs and the Oscars, is that we have this outcry from the acting and, you know, the film community about it. But we're sitting there saying, yeah, but it's you. You're talking about you. We haven't done anything wrong.
Well,
we don't vote on the Oscars, or you're the ones who vote on it and decide who's going to be nominated. It's nothing to do with us.
It's very true, and it's, you know, Joaquin Phoenix said, you know, it's the people who built the system who have to be the ones who have built it, who are part of it, who have to be the ones to change it. To which you sit there going, dude, you're one of those guys. Yeah, like, you know.
So but they are continually protesting outwards. They're saying, you know, out into the ether, this is a terrible thing. It was, well, no, turn round the other way. Because it's each other that are doing it.
I mean, I always think back to when Frances McDormand won her acting Oscar for 3 Billboards.
Yeah.
Which I saw again this past week. It was on TV late one night, and I saw like 5 minutes of it, and I got sucked in. I'm like, do you know what? I don't care.
I love that film.
Yeah, I don't care that it's 2 a.m. I'm seeing this through now. This film is amazing, and I always forget just how good it is. But when she gave her Oscar acceptance speech, and she brought up the point of the inclusion rider, this idea that you could actually stipulate when you sign for these films, you can actually stipulate as part of your contract there has to be a certain level of inclusivity. Things like that. That's constructive.
Yeah.
What Joaquin Phoenix did is basically shouting into the void.
Yeah. Because we're in the void and we can hear you, but there's nothing we can do about it. There is honestly nothing we can do about it.
Exactly. We only get a view from the galley, so, you know.
Right, so do you want to go through the list?
Yeah, I mean, I've made some observations on this, to be honest. It's
No, I'll tell you what we do. Let's do it this way. Let's do it this way, Vanka. Come on, let's have a bit of fun with it. You've got the list, I've got the list.
Yeah.
I'll tell you We'll go 1, 2, 3, and then you say it, and I'll say it at the same time. Right, you ready?
Okay, go on.
Nominations in full. Best Picture. The nominees are Ford vs. Ferrari, Jojo Rabbit, Little Women, 1917, Marriage Story, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Parasite, Joker. Now, I want it to be what you think will win.
Yeah.
And I'll say what I think.
So what I think will win, not what I think deserves to win.
Yes. You say what you think will win, and I'll say, because I don't have your level of insight, cool. I'll say what I think should win.
Okay.
Ready? So, it goes 1, 2, 3, Parasite.
Parasite deserves to win. It won't.
Right, okay. I like this game. Best Director. Scorsese, The Irishman, Todd Phillips, Joker, Mendes, 17, Quentin Tarantino, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Bong Joon-ho, Parasite. Ready? 1, 2, 3, Todd
Sam
Phillips.
and again, Bong Joon-ho deserves to win.
Right, we won't do this anymore. And then leading actress is... Now, here's one of the controversies, right? And again, nothing to do with me. Nothing to do with me. Yeah. You're the ones that respond. They're going on about, it's all about actors and middle-age and war and violence. And yet, Little Women is one of the... Listen, Little Women was a fine book when it was written. Louise O'Mara, it's a very good book, and there have been some good adaptations. This is not one of them. I don't think this is a good version of Little Women. No, I really don't. I think they're trying too hard to make points that Louisa M. Alcott wasn't trying to make.
Can I make a controversial, can I give a controversial opinion?
I would expect nothing less.
If anybody else in the universe, and I've said this on numerous occasions, if anybody else in the universe but Greta Gerwig had written and directed this adaptation of Little Women, critics and supposed fans would not be lining up with so much vigour to, I'll politely say, laud it.
Okay. I don't think it's that good. I've seen better TV adaptations of Little Women.
There have been so many. I only found out yesterday there was an anime adaptation of Little Women. Yeah. Which blew my mind.
But who's going to win leading actress?
So, let's see, what nominees?
Scarlett, do you think? There's Cynthia Erivo for Harriet, Scarlett for Marriage Story,
Saoirse Ronan.
Thank you. For Little Women, Charlize Theron for Bombshell, and Rennie I saw Rennie the other night. Yeah. It's pretty good, isn't it?
So, do you want to go on three? You want to go through with this one?
No, just tell me who's
okay. It's going to be Renee Zellweger for Judy, clearly.
Well, because you see, here's the thing that would annoy slightly though. It's like, hang on, wait a minute, hang on a second. Who are you voting for, Renee Zellweger or Judy Garland? Because you love Judy Garland.
There is that, but her performance is great.
It is good.
It is one of those where you do absolutely forget that is Renee Zellweger.
Yeah.
And, having said that, the one I think actually deserves to win this, I would really give this to Charlize Theron for Bombshell. I think she's genuinely great in this movie. I think we talked about Bombshell.
Yeah. But the problem with Bombshell, of course, is that people outside of the United States have no idea what you're talking about.
Well, and it is a case of, like we said when we reviewed it, that because it is about a very right-wing fundamentalist people, Republicans, Hollywood has a natural inclination to want to avoid giving it any real plaudits at all.
Now, here's the weird thing about Judy, of course. Sid Luft, I was watching the film, and Sid Luft, who plays the second husband, her last husband, it was a really good performance. I thought it was really good. And then at the end, it's, what's his name? Who is it? Oi, you two in there, stop painting your nails and Google who plays Sid Luft in Judy. Go and do it now. Yeah, no, I want people to know in real time how long it takes you to type. Come on. Quickly.
I'm actually doing it myself now, just to hurry us along, but...
it's someone well famous.
Is it?
Annoyingly, you think, it wasn't him.
It's not Rufus Sewell, is it?
Yes, Rufus Sewell.
He's the manager, isn't he? Not the second husband.
No, Rufus Sewell plays Sid Luft.
I'm going to find this out now, because I have to know. Rufus Sewell does, in fact, play Sid Luft. Yes. Well played, sir. Well played.
And he looks like an old American guy.
He does, actually. And do you know what? He actually does a really good accent.
Well, it's fantastic, because I saw Rufus Sewell and I thought, Rufus Sewell wasn't in that.
Mind you, it tells you how long ago I saw Judy now, because I think it was like November or December I saw Judy, because I'd forgotten Michael Gambon was even in the film.
Oh, he was good. He plays Bernard Delphine.
He does. You've got a good memory for this.
I saw it the night before last.
Oh, fair enough.
I'm honestly only the memory man.
It's usually my shtick.
Okay, leading actor. Where are we going?
Leading actor, easy one. This one is Joaquin.
You see, I saw the two popes. Right, this is the question. Here we go. Well, here's a question I want to ask you.
Yeah.
In the two popes, it is the best acting you will see this year on screen is Jonathan Pryce and Anthony Hopkins in the two popes. It is two guys saying, "Yeah, turn the camera on." And have a look what we've learned to do over the last 60 years. We don't need no script.
We're free followers, freestyle, man.
Just watch this, because it's everything they do is brilliant. Everything, they are much, much better even than the film, and the film's good. So, but Joaquin will win it. Who decides, because I'm guessing there's a Hollywood way that you will know, who decides who's going to be leading actor and who's going to be supporting actor? Because they're absolutely 100% 50-50, if you can be.
I agree with this. Now, Little Women, for instance, has this sort of issue. It's like, how do you decide which one's the primary character in there? Because Florence Pugh and Saoirse Ronan share about the same amount of screen time, realistically. So the way this works is we get award screeners sent to us, like people like myself who get to vote on awards. I don't get to vote on BAFTAs or Oscars, but, I get to vote on different categories of awards, different sorts of awards, like the critics, online critics society and things like that. And they send us a stack of discs just before Christmas every year, and it's every film they want to win Oscars. Like 20th Century Fox will send you their 6 films, and Disney will send you theirs, and so on and so forth. And you get the film on DVD. It's watermarked, usually with a sort of copyright thing. So if you stick it online or torrent it or anything like that, they will know, they will hunt you, they will find you. And on the back of the box is a list of everyone involved in the film and the category they would like them to be voted for. Now, every now and again, this gives you a fascinating insight into how the marketing department works.
Okay.
So, for instance, they would like you to consider, the one I always remember was Deadpool 2. 20th Century Fox genuinely wanted voters to consider T.J. Miller as a candidate for Best Supporting Actor for Deadpool 2, at a point when he had a lot of controversy surrounding him. So we thought of that as a great cosmic joke. But in the case of the two popes, you get your disc. I think I've literally got this disc on my shelf. And it says, we'd like, it's for your consideration is the term. For your consideration in the following categories. It's Anthony Hopkins for Best Actor, Jonathan Pryce for Best Supporting, or whichever way around that is, and Best Screenplay, Anthony McCann. And that's how it works. And if you watch the film, you think, that was a good screenplay. I'm glad they would like it to be nominated for that. I will nominate it for that. They want it for original screenplay. That's fine. Now, there is an interesting one this year. During the production of Joker, the director, Todd Phillips, and one of his producers kept doing the press rounds, and they kept stressing, specifically aiming at people like me who knew the comics. Oh no, this isn't based on a specific comic. This is a wholly original film. This is we've crafted an original story in its own right. This is not an adaptation of any story you know. Which, having seen the film, is nonsense. It borrows from at least 3 that I can name off the top of my head. How it's then voted for Best Adapted Screenplay, I don't quite know, because if the director himself is insisting it isn't an adapted screenplay, that's very interesting.
And also, if what you've done is nick 3 or 4 different ideas, that's not even an adapted screenplay. That's a plagiarized screenplay, is what you're
doing. That is the staple of the comic movie genre. I mean, Christopher Nolan did that with his Dark Knight movies. There's different elements of different Batman stories adapted into one thing.
But Joaquin's nailed on, is he?
Oh, yeah. Totally.
I'd give it to Jonathan, and equally I'd give Anthony Hopkins for supporting actors.
Is that the way around it? Because I can never remember which way around it, because like you say, they are equal in terms of screen time.
So supporting actors, this is why, so Florence Pugh, the people watching it in the first stages figured, and maybe profile as well. Man, do you know that? Because that doesn't work because Hopkins' profile is bigger than, or maybe it isn't in America, I don't know.
I think he's seen as a sort of a Jeremy Irons type to Americans. I think they sort of see him on that level. Jonathan Pryce. Let's not forget that he was a Bond villain once.
And he was in Glengarry Glen Ross.
Was he? I don't remember that now. No, to be honest with you, my memory of Glengarry Glen Ross sort of dies off after the Alec Baldwin speech, which I still recite to this day.
Okay. What's my name?
Yeah. That moment. Yeah. That moment. That one right there.
Because you have never worked a day in your life. You never open your mouth.
See, this watch is worth more than your car.
Kathy Bates for Richard Jewell, Laura Dern, Marriage Story, Jojo Rabbit, Scarlett Johansson, Little Women, Florence Pugh, and Bombshell. Oh, so Scarlett Johansson's in for...
She's a dual nominee this year, yeah.
Oh, yeah, because she's a leading actress in Marriage Story. What if you win? Can you win both?
You can indeed.
Has anyone ever won both?
I think someone has, but off the top of my head, I couldn't tell you.
Wow, what a thing that would be.
It would be, but I don't think
Because you'd chuck one of them away, wouldn't you?
Would you, though? I don't know. I'd put one at one side of my front door and one at the other side of my front door.
You know where you put them? You put them in your bathroom. You put them in your downstairs. Well, of course you do, because it's self-effacing. Oh, they mean nothing. I just keep them in the toilet. Where's the one room everyone who comes to your house is going to ask to go to?
I had a Jaws poster in my bathroom, but... You know.
So who's going to get some best supporting?
I think Laura Dern. I think Laura Dern's got this, to be honest.
Okay.
I would love it if Florence Pugh won, because I wish all the best things in the world to Florence Pugh. But alas, I don't think anyone's topping Laura Dern.
Oh, hang on a minute. Tom Hanks is up for supporting actor.
He is, because in the movie A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood, he is the supporting character. The character of Lloyd Vogel, who's the interviewer, is the primary figure.
Oh, I haven't seen it yet. I bet it's
a great
brilliant.
performance. Really good performance. I think you'd really enjoy it.
But you can't. Tom Hanks isn't. He probably wouldn't even bother, would he? Supporting actor. Nah, I'm all right, thanks.
There is I think this being this is one of the categories where I actually think the Academy and the BAFTAs may have different opinions. This went to Brad Pitt and the BAFTAs. I think it might go to Tom Hanks with the Academy, because he's Tom Hanks. Having said that, Brad Pitt is on something of a hot streak at the moment, and it was a good performance, even though, you know, there is debate as to whether or not he's only just playing himself.
Do you know what I think is going to happen? I think exactly what you said is going to happen. Hanks, Pitt, Hanks and Pacino. Come on, guys. You got to give it to Joe. I think that is going to split the vote, and I think Anthony Hopkins is going to win it.
You want to know something really interesting about this category as well?
Go on.
At 56 years old, Brad Pitt is the youngest nominee for Best Supporting Actor.
May it also be the case that... How many of these have won Best Actor? Hanks has.
Oh, Hopkins has.
Pitt, has he won Best Actor?
Well,
Pacino,
I don't think he has.
I bet there's a...
Pacino's won Oscars.
I bet they've all been well nominated.
Pacino, the last Oscar nomination Pacino had will be 28 years ago now for Scent of a Woman, which I believe he won as well, deservedly so. It was a great performance.
Not interested in any of those. No one cares about it. It's a terrible thing, because having worked on films, having made 2 films, I know how important everyone is, and yet it's still... have they done that yet? All right. Well, who won song? All right, let's go to bed.
I will chuck one at you though before we start off, which is the director category for Best Director, because this is an interesting one, because this could go one of 2 ways. Which is, if we go with the BAFTAs lead the Oscars example, it was Sam Mendes for 1917, and which is a technically brilliant film, and he deserves it. There's a lot of ball juggling going on with the making of that film. Hats off to him. He's done an amazing job. However, the question then becomes, Bong Joon-ho, won the BAFTA. The question is, do they follow suit, or do they give it to Sam Mendes for 1917? Because obviously 1917, I think, will win Best Picture. The question then becomes, have we got another Roma on our hands? Does Bong Joon-ho win the Oscar for Best Director? I'm interested to see which way the Academy goes on that.
So where'd you watch it?
Where do I watch it? In this building, probably in this exact room.
And comment on it. And
I will be doing Oscar night. I'm split between 2 shows tomorrow night.
Okay, Oscar night with
Daryl Morris on talkRADIO and Paul Ross on talk Sports.
Yeah, well, that's a great setup.
That's good, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely really super. I shall listen to as much of it as I can, and you don't put money on there.
Of course I do. But I get my bets in before the BAFTAs, so I like those good odds.
Have a good day. Thank you very much, Van Connor.